Hello, today's card I'm going to be making this floral spray card with a stamped background in behind a front panel. Now I'm going to have to ask you to bear with me for the next couple of videos. I've just replaced my camera and I'm very unhappy with how the video quality is of this new camera. I used to use a quite cheap $80 click and point camera, a Lumix one, and I've just replaced it with a quite a bit more expensive $600 Canon PowerShot camera, and was told that the video quality would be really good at the shop where I bought it, and it's turned out that it's really grainy, so I'm most upset about that. But bear with me and I'll see whether I can try and improve it with different settings and changing the video within my editing program, and see whether I can come up with something a little bit better. Now for the card I'm wanting a top fold card, so because I make 5x7 inch cards, I can't get a top fold out of one sheet of card if I just fold it, so I've cut two pieces of 5x7 blue card, and I've left a flap on one of them which I'm folding over and sticking on the inside of the card, so that makes my top fold card. And I've got a panel that's 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, which is going to be my top panel. I'm using an Impression Obsession background stamp called Flourishes, and I'm going to stamp that with Versamark ink and then clear embossing powder on it, and it just makes the blue of the card just a little bit brighter and shiny, but it's a bit of a tone on tone look with the background that I'm doing today. Now because my card base is bigger than the width of the stamp, instead of just doing a straight stamping and then patching it up at the top, I'm going to do a diagonal and then try and match the stamp up as best I can on an angle, so that it's not so obvious to the eye when I've got my front panel on. I think it works better than having it straight across. It's easier to see a join that way. Unfortunately I didn't get the join quite right, but I don't think when I've got my front panel on you're really going to notice it, so I think it'll be alright. You don't notice the join too much when I'm going to put the panel on. So now I'm going to stick the two parts of the card together with some double-sided tape. For the front panel, I've decided to curve the bottom right hand corner, so I'm just using a circular die just as a template to draw around the outside, just a corner curve, and cut that out with some scissors. Now for my floral spray, I'm going to use this W+9 stamp called Freehand Florals. I've used it before on a card and I really love the result from it. It's a layered stamp. So I'm going to use the big rose and the medium-sized rose in the set, and I'm also going to use two of the different leaves. I'm going to do my stamping with acrylic blocks today, and I'm going to use my Altenew crisp ink cubes in the colour sets that I've got. So I'm going to use 3 of the yellows. I'm going to use Buttercream, Mango Smoothie and Warm Sunshine. For the blues I'm going to use Arctic, Caribbean Sky and Persian Blue, and then the greens I'm using Frayed Leaf and Forest Glades. This stamp's a very forgiving stamp as far as layered stamps go. It really doesn't matter if you're slightly off with your layers, it still looks beautiful. I've done quite a few on this piece of card just because I'm not sure how many I'm going to use for my spray, and if I've got leftovers I'll make another card with them. I started off stamping one of the medium colours in the blue set called Caribbean Sky, but I've decided it's really too dark, so I've gone back one colour to the Arctic, and then I'm going to use the Caribbean Sky as the middle colour and then the slightly darker colour on top. Now they do come out quite dark looking when you first stamp them, but by the time the ink's soaked into the card, it ends up being quite a bit more mellowed, and I'm quite happy with how they end up looking, even though I get a bit startled when I first stamp them because they look so dark. So I'm going ahead and finishing off all the yellow and blue roses, and then I'm going to do the two different types of bigger leaves in the stamp set, and then when I finish that I'll fussy cut the flowers out. I don't buy the dies. I'm a bit of a Scrooge where it comes to the dies. I'd rather cut them out by hand and use the money that I'd buy the dies for buying more stamps. I prefer that, and I don't mind doing the cutting out. So now I've got my flowers done and fussy cut out. I've got my background done with the stamping, and I've got my card panel with the curved corner, so I can start deciding where I'm going to put the floral spray wrapped around the curve of the bottom of the front panel. So I'll just play around and decide where I'm going to put those. Once I'm happy with my arrangement, I'll transfer it all to the MISTI. I'm using a linen card for my white panel, so it doesn't always stamp the best, so I'm going to lay it all out on my MISTI, and that way I can work out where to put the sentiment, and then I can stamp it 2 or 3 times depending on how much I need to do. So I'm using the sentiment by Simon Says Stamp called Thoughtful Messages. It's one of their new stamps for, I think it was last month's release. So I stamped my sentiment with VersaFine Onyx Black ink and then embossed it with Ranger clear embossing powder and then heat it with my heat tool. But that's where my front panel came a little bit unstuck because I'd done the fun foam already on the back. When I came to heat the embossing powder with the heat gun, it all buckled and warped, so I ended up having to do the whole front panel again, stamping it first this time and then putting the craft foam on the back afterwards, which is the way you should do it. Silly me. So I ended up editing that bit out, as you didn't really need to see my stupidity, and start again where I've got the second attempt all ready to go. Now I can just lay my flowers out again and start sticking them on. I use a variety of ways of sticking them. The yellow rose I glue flat and also the leaves. The blue roses I use foam squares, which are actually quite thick, and I wasn't sure whether they were going to look right or not. And then the other yellow rose I ended up using Scotch foam tape, which is a little bit thinner, so there's about 3 levels in the end that I end up having them. You'll see here I made a mistake and ended up gluing the second yellow rose down and then rethought it because it just looked a little bit too flat, so then I pulled it off and use it with the other foam tape. Now normally I would, when I'm making a card, I'd stick the front panel down onto the card base before I did the flower arrangement, but I wasn't still sure whether I was going to use the stamped background or use a plain background because I thought it might have been a little bit too busy. So I did it on the front panel first, and then I could just play around with having a look at what it looked like on the stamped background and a plain background. And I ended up going with the stamped background just because I'd done all the work and I didn't think it looked too busy. I'm not sure whether I made the right decision or not, but either way would be fine. So I can go ahead and stick down the panel now with the foam tape and double-sided tape on the back, and then decided to just put a few little sparkling clear sequins around the flower spray using my new jewel picker, which is just a little tool that's got a sticky end to it, and it makes putting sequins and gems and things onto cards much easier. So I did that with a bit of liquid glue, and then that's the card finished. That's the finished card today. I'll leave you looking at some photos. When I uploaded the video to YouTube, the quality wasn't too bad. I was quite surprised, so hopefully it's going to be okay. I'll leave you with some other videos that you might be interested in. Also, there's a subscribe button. If you click on the picture of me, you can subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching today, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.